Okay, so we're back again, 12th of May, Thursday night. Doing a club session now. So club session is what we usually do, looking at, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, looking at smaller term or smaller time frame trades, and actually looks quite good for a trade idea or trade analysis for today, looking at the H1 and M15 kind of trades, things that you can get into almost immediately, something that you can get within the night and get out within the day, that kind of trades. So a little bit different to our analysis on the currency core where we look at H4 trades. So as usual, quick disclaimer, any information shared in this video is not intended to be a trade recommendation. It is solely the opinion and views of myself. So please remember to do your own analysis prior to entering any trades. Right, so getting to we were just having a chat before the session started. Dollar index finally in the last couple of hours, or the last hour actually, broke above this 104 level, went towards 104, as high as 104.59, very close to 104.60, and then now pausing a little bit, retracing a little bit, but I think it's because it's early in the session. Maybe later into the hour, we're going to see this push back up, right? So that's the dollar index on the H4 time frame. On the H1, you can see that the last hour, well, today, since 3 o'clock, it broke above and it's been climbing. Right before this core, it shot up. Before that, it was consolidating. So I was actually thinking that dollar index would have came up to about 104.40 and possibly would have turned back down, but what it did caught me by a little bit of a surprise. It shot up towards that 104.50. I think that because it shot up, we're going to see a little bit more upside, but it might retrace a little bit, consolidate there before pushing higher. So with that in mind, and also looking at the way it's retracing a little bit now, a lot of the analysis that we'll be doing now within this hour, I think is going to be, it's bouncing back, look for it to break below a certain point before selling. So I don't think we're going to see something to jump into immediately, but let's see what happens. So looking at the news again at 8:30, we have the PPI numbers to be released. PPI is the change in price of finished goods and services sold by producers. It's a purchasing index, not usually going to move prices too much, and also because of everything that's happening, I think this is not a big news at this point. And then nothing much else. This is a weekly number, so I don't think it will move prices too much. What we're seeing now across the board, all the pairs, is really the technical trades rather than the fundamentals, because there's no big news to be released at this point, or even for this couple of days ahead. Just a quick recap. Yesterday, we saw the CPI number still increasing a little bit faster than expected. Was expected at 0.2, came out at 0.3. Core CPI expected at 0.4, came out at 0.6. So it's still growing faster than expected, which is possibly why we're seeing that dollar getting stronger. And also, like I was sharing with you this morning, the S&P oops, no, not this one. Right, S&P is still dropping right now at that 3,900, almost at a 3,900 level. I think this morning I was saying that we're likely to see it go towards the 3.8 or 3.850 level. So I think that with this dropping, we're going to see that dollar strength continue, right? A lot of uncertainty right now with markets crashing, with crypto crashing. We're seeing that move, and you can see here, we're seeing that move towards the dollar and the yen, that reserve currency, that reserve moving towards reserve. So it's going to be quite interesting with that, right? So jumping straight into looking at some charts, not daily, hourly time frame. Like I was telling you, Aussie, I got into a trade this afternoon, Aussie at 06892, 6892 at about that point there. And then, no, wait, when was it? At about that point there, yep. So this was on the M15 time frame, if I'm not wrong. That point, 6892. So about there, I got in at that close of the hour. Yeah, so close of the 12 at a 1 o'clock time frame, I got in at about that point. And same thing, what I did was 6892, 30 pip stop loss there, and a 30 pip stop loss here, and a 30 pip take profit because I had this line there. So I just set my levels there at 30 just to respect this 6865 level. What happened was I didn't hold it all the way to this point at 30 pip to take profit. Would have been a great trade to hold it all the way and get out there. But also, if you consider at 1 o'clock, I got in at 5:30, 30 pips. What I actually did was I got out at that point there. So right, why doesn't it work? Well, I got out at about there, so about 18 pips. So very quickly within the hour, so it's at 2 o'clock, I got in at the start of the hour, saw that drop, and because of that move, because of that quick drop, hit my 18 pips there, and I got off the trade because within the hour, 18 pips, I got out and then I started looking at other trades there. So that was my trade for one of my trades for today, the Aussie dollar. The Aussie dollar selling down, didn't go to take profit, closed out early at 18 pips for the Aussie on the M15. At this point right now, I like how it has come down, tested that 6865 level, and it seems to be bouncing back up. Why it's bouncing back up is really because that dollar is pushing, its still rate is pushing a little bit, it's consolidating, but I think it's going to push back up towards upside. So what I would say is for the Aussie dollar on the H1 time frame, I will look to see how it reacts to this level, right? We're still very early into the hour now. I think what we can be looking for is for it to move up. And if that dollar index does continue to push higher, so that little retrace now and the dollar index continue to push higher, then what I would say is for Aussie dollar, I would be looking, and all my trades at this point, because of all the uncertainty and all the crazy movements at this point, I would say keep it very short term. Just apply the 30 take 30 stop levels. I would say at about 6852 or below. So below 6850, just because it's a nice round number there, I would say 30 pip stop loss, 30 pip take profit, or 30 to 40 pip take profit, a 1:1 risk reward ratio towards the downside for the Aussie dollar on the H1 or on the M15 time frame. So I would say I don't think it'll happen now. I think it'll be the next hour, but something to pay attention to at this point, right? So that's the Aussie. And if you look at it on the M15 time frame, then it looks quite likely because it's trying to push higher, but it seems to be struggling at this now resistance level. So I think it's going to push, if in any case, it'll push up before turning back down again. Similar to what happened here, push up, turn back down. What we're looking for it to do is to break below the recent low point. So at about 6856, once it breaks that point, then you can be looking to sell. That's why I say look to sell below 6850. Okay, so that's the Aussie trade. Something that I'll be watching out for. I think what we're going to end up having for tonight is a lot of trade ideas. but it's all about, choosing which one's going to happen quickly or which one's going to take a little bit longer. So how to choose what's going to happen quickly or take a little bit longer if we went into the longer term, then you have to look for the next support levels, right? So the Aussie here, we're next level at 6738. How it's dropped to this point and bounced back up, dropped and bounced back up. This was back in 2019. And then it came very close and bounced back up. So I think that, we at this point have quite a reasonable amount of space for the Aussie dollar to drop. Could happen quite quickly towards the downside. Comparing that to the Kiwi dollar, right? So Kiwi dollar, when we spoke about it on Monday, I was saying look for it to test that level and turn down. It's actually triggered now. It took a long time for that trade to trigger, but it finally triggered and you would be in the money at this point. But just giving you an idea of how to choose your trades. Kiwi dollar, you can see I have a line here at 6167. So where is this line related to? This was back in 2020. So quite a recent line 1 year ago, at a support level that we can see that it's hit, broke below, bounced from this point, tried to test lower and bounce from this point. So I can still tell you that, we're likely to see the Kiwi dollar track lower. Oops, there you go. We're likely to see the Kiwi dollar track lower. And if I move this aside, you could be looking to sell it down below 6228, take profit at about 50 pips, stop loss 30 pips. Still a reasonable trade setup, but if you compare the Kiwi dollar to the Aussie dollar, a lot more space on the Aussie dollar to drop, less so on the Kiwi dollar, especially with that 50 pips there. It might not even get to 50, might come very close before bouncing. So between the Kiwi and the Aussie, I would rather pick the Aussie. A lot more space to drop rather than the Kiwi. That's how I would choose trades, or how I would look at which ones to get into, right? So I would actually delete that and say that focus on the Aussie more than the Kiwi at this point. This one is quite interesting. So the euro dollar has been very interesting today. This afternoon, when we were just looking at it, I was looking at the euro dollar to move towards the downside. We always want to look to sell the euro dollar down, but it had been sitting there struggling, didn't want to drop lower. This was last night with the news, wanted to drop and then bounce back up and sat around for the whole morning there. What I actually did was I actually had my sell order at 104.95, right? My sell order, because I was looking at it. If it breaks this 105 level, we're going to see it drop very strongly. So what I actually did there was I had 104.95. Just check. Yep, 104.95. I had my take profit at 30, my stop loss again at 30 there. This was a very big stop loss, but I always just set it at 30 and 30. And then that was within that quick trade. I'll move this across. Within that move, so it was that move. Within 15 minutes, it just broke that level, went straight down, hit my take profit, and then I was out, right? Then the second trade I did was, I saw once it hit that level, I had another order again, and then my next order was at, so once it hit my take profit, my next order was for it to break below this support level of 104.63. I had it at below 104.60. So at about 104.55 there, right? So again, another 30 pips and 30 pips. And then what happened was it got to that point. within 30 minutes, it hit my take profit and then I was out. This move down, I got super tempted. I didn't get into the trade straight away. So what I actually did was I was looking at it. I got in and I scalped it just at that tail end, just before we got onto this call. So I got out of a trade just before the call started, just got a couple of pips, 4 pips there on this move at this tail end there. So that was my 3 trades on the euro dollar, and then that's it. I'm out for the rest of the day. I think the euro dollar is likely to come back up, test this level. I'll take away this. I think the euro dollar is likely to come back up, test this level, and then turn back down again. What we're seeing here on the dollar, retracing. So it's retracing, but I think if it continues pushing up, then on the euro dollar, we're going to see it come back up and turn down. And if it turns down, then you could be looking for sell order. This is 104.20. So at about that point, 104, below 104.15, I would say. Again, 30 pip stop loss, 30 pip stop loss here first, and then the 30 pip take profit. Take this away. And then a 30 pip take profit towards the downside. That would be my euro dollar pending order towards the downside. Okay, so something to look forward to. I think it's going to push up, sit out, wait for it, let it push up. Once it turns down and breaks below that 104.20, you can have an order at 104.15 or below 104.15, then look to sell down for that 30 pips towards the downside. With that, pound dollar, I would say stay out, right? So pound dollar, why I would say stay out is because it has dropped that much, and that 1 hour candle where it tried to break lower, and then now we see it bouncing back up. What you actually should notice is that the Aussie dollar was tracking lower, the Kiwi dollar is tracking lower, although slowly, the euro dollar tracking lower very strongly, but yet we're seeing a different move on the pound dollar. We're seeing pound dollar now actually pushing up quite strongly. I think it's reacting to this where was it? This 1.22 level. So this 1.22 level, it broke lower. Now it's bouncing back up. I think we're going to see pound dollar push a little bit towards the upside. So because of that dollar strength, I would say stay away from the pound dollar. Everything seems to be dropping. Pound dollar is tracking higher. I wouldn't be looking to I wouldn't be looking to buy it up. I would say, you have a possible sell on the Aussie dollar already. You have a possible sell on the Aussie dollar coming up. You have the euro dollar now bouncing back up. We're looking to see whether we can look to sell it back down again. I would say possibly give the pound dollar a bit of a miss, but if you looked at the euro pound instead, it has been dropping. Euro pound has been dropping because of the euro dollar dropping, and possibly because the pound dollar hasn't been dropping. It's actually been sitting right across. So because the pound dollar is sitting right across, euro dollar dropping, we see that euro pound has been dropping that much. One thing I would be a bit cautious of is I have a line here at 0.85, but you can see that the euro pound has been bouncing at 8525 on the 9th of May and again on the 11th of May. So just if we had this call a couple of hours earlier, would have looked to sell it down, big reversal. But at this point, I think that it needs to, and for any further downside, it needs to clear this 8525 for it to move lower. So don't get into the euro pound yet, but if it breaks below, then you can look to sell down. I think that, let me just check why I have this line there. 85, it's that level there, right? Oops, let me just turn this off. So at that level there, 85 as a round number of how it reacted on the 31st of March. So what I would say is that I think it's going to drop some more, but let it go past this 8525 level. You can be looking to sell down, or you can be looking to, so if you're a little bit more risk taking, you can look to sell down below 8525. If you're a little bit more conservative, then only look to sell down below 8500. So at about 8488, you can have your, I think if it goes past this point, no, you can be a little bit safer there. So okay, so at about 8493 or 8490, again here, stop, take profit, 25 pips. This is short-term trades, right? Short-term trades, 20 pip stop loss, 25 pip take profit, or 1:1 risk reward ratio towards the downside. Or what you can choose to do is have about an 80 pip take profit towards that next support level. And then if you look to sell down, pay attention to what happens at this 8467 level. If it breaks lower, then hold it all the way to the next take profit or the next support level at 88 pips. And then if it sits there and struggles to break, then look to close out that trade. So a bit of trade management there required for the euro pound. At this point, any questions? Right, no questions. Then we're going to look at the US yen. US yen, I was looking at it today. This morning we were saying that as if it reacts to this 129 level, can it bounce back up? That's obviously invalid right now. I think that as you can see from that headline, dollar and yen surge, there's the move towards reserve. So US yen, this looks like I would say a good and easy setup is if it breaks below 128.49 or 128.50, we're going to see quite a good downside. We're going to see quite a good downside on the US yen, but but just be careful, not yet, right? At 8:30 now, there's half an hour more to go. Let it break and close below this point before looking to sell. So I would say, and it's moving now as well. So about 128, below 128.30, you can look to sell down, 120, almost 120 pip towards the downside. You can keep your stop loss quite tight at about 40 to 50 pips, a 1:2 risk reward ratio towards the downside, or 1:2.5, almost 1:2.5 towards the downside on the US yen. You can see that once it breaks this level, it does come down quite strongly, either at about 50 something pips, so you at least have a 1:1 towards the downside, or towards the next support and you have a 1:2 towards the downside. So I like this level. I like how it's reacting at this level now, but you need to be a lot more patient. Let it come down, let it close below before looking to sell on the US yen. Right? Then the euro yen has been tracking. This was a trade I got into. I did the exact same trade I was telling you guys on the currency call. Right after the call, I put in the order. Right, I actually had it a little bit lower at 136.20. So I had it at about 136.20. I just like the round numbers there, and also just below that low point there. So I had my order, and then my take profit was actually at this 135 level. So it just went down within 3 hours, hit my take profit, and then I was out. At this point right now, what to expect for the euro yen? I would say do nothing. No, actually, because we expect the US yen to drop, and looking back again at the euro dollar, it's bounced back up, but we're again expecting it to drop. So with the euro yen, what I would say is same like the US yen. Again, if it's looking to drop, then only look to sell below 133. Be a bit safer here, below 133.45. So I would say 133.40. Stop loss here, about 50 pips. Take profit again in about 100 or 1:2 towards the downside. If you missed out on this trade from this morning, then this could be a possible trade idea leading up. But I don't think this will happen now within this hour, or maybe not even within the next hour. I think it will be something that would happen slightly later into the trading session. So this will be something that you might want to look at later on, not right now. Right? Just put it on your watch list there. Then pound yen. Pound yen, same thing. We're talking about it. I didn't get into this because I had my euro yen order already. But pound yen dropping, I would say stay away from pound yen. Same reason why I said stay away from the pound dollar. Pound dollar pushing higher. We're going to see a lot of bounce around at this point, and also because of that support level of 155 or almost 156 is there, very close. So if you're going to wait for the pound yen to drop below 156, then look to sell. I think, you know, if the pound yen is going to drop, you're going to see a bigger drop in the, or earlier drop in the euro yen first. So I would say focus on the euro yen more than the pound yen. Same like how you focus on the Aussie dollar more than the Kiwi dollar. I would focus on the euro dollar more than the pound dollar, right? So this is how I look at all my trades. I choose which ones to pay attention to, which ones to pay a bit less attention to. Those are how I would sequence my trade ideas. Then you don't end up entering on everything as well. I think euro dollar is going to move a bit faster. So again, I think euro dollar is going to move a little bit faster than the Aussie dollar because euro is open now, Aussie is closed. So we think that, you know, euro might move faster than the Aussie dollar, then which also could lead to the euro yen breaking that support, or the US yen breaking that support compared to the pound yen moving towards the support level. Then US CAD, I haven't been paying much attention to US CAD. Why I haven't been paying much attention, and we'll tell you more about that tomorrow as well, is because US CAD on H4, you can see that over the last couple of days, right, US CAD has pretty much came towards that 103 level, or as high as 103.45, hit that, struggled, came back down, hit that, struggled, came back down, hit that, now looking like it's coming back down again. So US CAD seems to have topped out already, but it doesn't look like it's ready to reverse, right? I'll zoom out here and show you that, you know, US CAD has been climbing since 22nd of April. It's been moving up. It's hit that 103.40, 103, oh no, 1.3045 level, but it doesn't look like it's ready to reverse. It looked like it was ready to reverse at that point. You know, we're talking about 1.28 quite recently. It's broken up that point. I don't think it's looking to reverse yet. So I really haven't been paying much attention to the US CAD, even on the smaller time frame. If you were looking to sell this down, it'll be counter what the dollar index is doing. So dollar index has dropped quite significantly. So it'll be counter what the dollar index is doing. I think that we're going to see this drop possibly towards the 1.2980 1.2980 level, or maybe a little bit lower, but it's likely to turn back up again because of the likelihood of that dollar strength pushing back up. Okay, so I wouldn't pay too much attention to the US CAD unless, you know, you really want to take on a counter trend trade and they have nothing else to enter. And it's not likely that you have nothing else to enter. I would say that US CAD sell down, it's not worth it. It's not worth it at this point. You know, 40, 50 pip stop loss, 60, 70 pip take profit, counter trend for a 1:1 risk reward ratio, possibly not worth the risk. I think a lot more opportunities on the other pairs rather than the US CAD at this point. I think that the US yen is moving quite nicely now, right? So just a little bit more for it to close up. Then if it stays there or it drops a little bit lower and it closes at that level, then we could see the US yen as quite a good selling opportunity for the next 1 or 2 hours. For the next 1 or 2 hours, as the dollar index is dropping, dragging the US yen down, yen possibly gaining some strength, coming back down again. I think this would be how I would sequence my trade is I would be looking in the next 20 minutes for the US yen to close. Might be a trade idea, an immediate trade idea there, then followed with, if it drops and it bounces back up again, then the US, no wait, actually, check out the euro yen. Okay, not ready yet. Okay, so if we see the US dollar index drop, first trade idea would be, or high in my trade idea list would be the US yen towards the downside. Then what I'm looking for is if the dollar index is going to bounce, right? I think it's going to come possibly down by 9 o'clock. Seems to be quite strong. So at about 104, if it's going to bounce at this point later into the session tonight, then we can see the euro dollar or the Aussie dollar to move back down again. So that dollar strength could push the euro dollar down. Right now it's bounced back up, so we could see it turn back down, or the Aussie dollar to push back down again. So what happens now is in the next 20 minutes, I would say watch the US yen. In the next 20 minutes, watch the US yen for the downside. I think it's primed and quite ready to get into. Then after that, look at the dollar index, look for it to bounce back up. Then look at the euro dollar and the Aussie dollar. Euro yen might be something that you want to consider. No, I think it's bouncing at this point. It's being pulled up a bit because of the euro dollar moving higher. So there's a bit of a conflict there. I wouldn't be looking at that, right? Any questions at this point? What's my other one? So gold again, now pushing back up because we are seeing that dollar pulling back down. So gold as a inverse, we're seeing that move towards gold, pushing back up as well. I would not do anything on gold at this point. You can see it's just very volatile at this 1850 level. So I'll just be extra careful there. Right. So short and sharp, any questions? No, we'll make this a really short session. I think that there are a few setups that we can be looking at, and I'm actually itching to get back into my trades in short-term trades. All good? Give me a big thumbs up if it's all good. All right. So if you've got no questions, what I'll be doing is I'll be sharing some trade ideas into the club as it happens for tonight, or any trades I'm looking to jump into for tonight. With that, let's call an end to the session. Euro pound coming down. Yes, awesome. Yep. So euro pound. Euro pound is getting close to that level. Why it's coming down, I can tell you that it's not because of the euro dollar, but more because of the pound dollar pushing up as it goes up. And I would be loving to see the pound dollar break above this 1.23 level towards the upside. Then that euro pound trade will work out very nicely. So I would still rank US yen first, just because of euro pound You have to think about the pound dollar. You have to think about the euro dollar. Just a little bit too many things to think about. I'll still rank the US yen before the euro pound, despite it dropping at this point right now. All right. So thanks for telling me about euro pound. Let me know which trades you get into. If you get into any trades from this session, put it into the club platform, and then I will see whether I'll jump into those trades as well. With that, I will catch up with you in the club platform. Take care now. Bye-bye.